Hello all, Old Geek, and I'm back with one of those tier list things, entirely subjective, as always, and I will be doing a live stream so you lot all get a chance to vote with your opinions where all these should go, but this is my opinion. First things first, last time I did an art tier list, there was a mention that some of the images weren't very visible. So what I'm going to do with these is I will create a separate video with a slideshow with bigger versions of all the images I've used so that you can refer to that video if you're unsure what the full size image looks like. Anyway, without further ado, the tier list. The tiers. S, geek tier, reserved for the very, very best. A, nerd tier, very good. B, dweeb tier, decent, not without merit, maybe not quite as appealing. C, dork tier, yeah. D, table flip, yeah, the stuff that should go in the bin. Now this is purely a tier list based on the AD&D artwork from the era where they had back cover art. So it's that first era of AD&D modules, 1978 till sort of the cusp of 82, 83, when the redesign of the covers happened and we lost the back cover art, unfortunately. I've already done a tier list of those back covers, so it's only fair to do the front covers of those same modules. They are arranged in alphabetical order. Tier list does that, and every time you reset the screen for any reason it resorts them all in alphabetical order, so I'm going to do them in alphabetical order. So we're starting with A1, Slave Pits of the Undercity. What do I think purely of the cover art? Cover art is meant to do a number of things. Sell the product, give an idea of the tone of the product, and maybe give an idea of something that happens within. If it hits all three of those, then it's done its job. The most subjective one there is sell the product. Obviously, if it appeals to you, then it will sell the product to you. If you don't find it particularly appealing, it won't. So this was a Jeff D piece of art. I'm not the biggest fan of Jeff D. He was too much into his superheroes and muscles and what have you, but I think in this picture we have enough atmosphere, enough detail, interesting lighting, it's dynamic enough. I think it's good, and I like the depiction of the Aspis and the way the party are looking to take it on, and we've got Dwarf Woman with beard, as they should have. So yeah, that's my first one. It'll go in nerd tier. One other thing with this video is that all of these are comparative. I'm comparing them with each other, so there might be a bit of juggling and a bit of shifting, because I think there's too many in one tier. Then some might find their way, might themselves moved up or down as a result. So we're going to be juggling and shifting a little bit, because I want some images to be in every tier. A2, Secret of the Slave and Stockade. This was by Jim Rosloff, and I think he was a very hit and miss artist. The pieces that he's done are extremely good. Not purely due to artistic quality, but the impact they have. But this one, I don't particularly like. Never sold the adventure to me at all. Not particularly exciting. It's got a boggle in it. Boggles are fun. But no, it's not a great one. That's firmly in dork. Right, A3. Assault on the area of the slave lords. The best thing about this adventure was the cover art. Again, it is Jeff D, but I do think his approach of big rippling muscles on the guy in the front and slightly overblown poses, I think it suits the slave lords, you know. I think it sort of makes them out to be the badasses they actually are. I don't think it's as good as the cover of Slave Pits of the Undercity, so I'm going to put this one in dweeb. Okay, A4, in the dungeons of the slave lords. Here we have a perfect example of an image setting the tone of the adventure. Mushroom men, desperate characters who have no equipment. They're just using most basic wood and bone weapons they can find. They've got no armor. And in their desperation, they're fighting these peaceful mushroom men, and in the background lurks this silhouetted, really potent mushroom man king who's going to wreak vengeance on these player characters. I don't think it's Errol Otus's best piece of work, though, and I am reserving the geek tier for the very best. So for now, it might creep up. I'm also going to try and rank these in each section as well. So it goes in as better than A1. It's right at the top of nerd tier. Right at the very top. It might creep into the bottom of geek. We'll see how many go into each one. Okay, B1, the pastel covered version of In Search of the Unknown. Now this image is dual credited Trampier and Sutherland, and I'm not a good enough art critic at all to work out who's done exactly what bit, but from their general styles, I think it's likely that Sutherland did the figures, and probably Trampier did the rest. I don't know, maybe someone can fill me in on that. But it's one of those, while it's not one of those ones that really stands out, it does define the tone of early low-level basic adventures, and it does that very well. It predated me as a D&D player, so I can't tell you whether it prompted me to buy the adventure or not. It probably would have done. But I'm going to put this one at the top of dweeb. This one has the potential to move up to nerd tier, because I do think it really gives an image of low-level adventuring really nicely in what is quite a simple piece of art. Now contrast that with the colour version from the re-release of In Search of the Unknown. I really like Darlene's line work from the Dungeon Master's Guide, and her map of Greyhawk is an absolute classic. It's iconic in every sense of the word, but I'm not a big fan of the images she did for the colour version of In Search of the Unknown. It's trying to rework the image from the pastel version. Clearly, adventurers poking their way around a mushroom forest, but it doesn't have that same feeling of wonder, and I think it's a bit garish. Though you imagine a mushroom forest might be garish, but this is going in dork, and I'm putting it below A2. Right, we're on to B2 now, and this is a Jim Rosloff piece from the cover of B2, The Keep on the Borderlands. Bright and colourful, dynamic. It's an exciting image. It's certainly one of Rosloff's better images. Is it his best? No, it isn't. But this B2 cover image does succeed in doing something that a lot of other cover images do not, in that it does a great job of selling the product within. And for many of you, it will have been the first module cover image that you ever saw, so it has that place in people's hearts. So yeah, I think low nerd tier for me. I think that's absolutely fine. Right, B3, and we're back with our old friend Errol Otus. And I think you know where this classic Otus piece of a desperate adventurer about to be chomped by a decapus is going. I think it's one of the best cover images that D&D ever used, so it has to go in geek tier. If ever a cover image sells a module, it's this one. Absolutely this one. The image is better than the module itself. Right, B4, The Lost City. Now, I really like this bright, cover. It shows off the insanity of the city itself. I think it's a Holloway piece. I'm pretty sure it's Holloway. And you've got like the city factions, where the mad faction from the city, cowering in fear and wearing their silly masks, and it's all set in this dark underground atmosphere. Did a really good job of selling the module. I am, however, being very, very strict on what goes in that geek tier, and it's going right to the top of nerd. I think it's got to go above A4. Again, it might creep into geek. It is good. It is good. Okay, now C1 now, Hidden Shrine of Tomorrow-chan. This module had two cover images, two different ones. One for its pastel release and one for its later full colour release. Full colour cover, it was still black and white inside. Now, they're both Otis images, and both of them depicted events in the module. Which do I think is better? Well, I'm not a big fan of the old one. And much as I like Otis, that cover art would not have sold the adventure to me as much as the replacement art did, which was bold and colourful. And a lot more appealing, but still not one of Otis's best pieces of work. I think... Oh, I didn't mean to put it in table flip. I meant to put it... I think it's going to go there. I think it's going to go there, right in the middle of dweeb. It's still pretty good, but it's not in nerd tier. It does a job, though. Alright, C2, Ghost Tower Inverness, and this is a Jim Rosloff. Now, while I rather like the picture, I think it's colourful, I think it's exciting, I think certainly invokes imagination. I don't remember this encounter being in the adventure. Yes, it's a ghost tower, but I don't remember any of these sort of ghostly, spectry things in the adventure itself. And despite its appealing... its good points, it's going at the bottom of dork because it doesn't tell you what's in the module. Right, we're going back in time now, and this is David C. Sutherland III and his original cover of Descent into the Depths of the Earth, D1. Crap. And his original cover of D2, The Shrine of the Kuo-toa. Crap as well. I'm not a big Sutherland fan. Some of his line images from in the rule books were fine, pretty good. I mean, Paladin in Hell is a good one, but he did a lot of dross in amongst those. The compilation D1-2, titled Descent into the Depths of the Earth, now with a full colour cover and Jim Rosloff art replacing either the two Sutherland pieces, and on the total opposite end of the scale. This is magnificent. I bought this adventure based on what I saw in this picture. Love the way that the Kuo-toan goddess Blipdulpurp is shrouded in that green glow at the back. I love the way there's a combat scene going out, happening at the front of the scene. That goes into geek, definitely in geek. We're on to Vault of the Drow, and once again, two versions. The original pastel version. Guess where that's going? It's crap. It's not as bad as the Shrine of the Kuo-toa or Descent into the Depths of the Earth, but it's still not very good because I'm holding it up against the one that came afterwards. full colour cover of D3. Again, we're back to Errol Otis art, and one of the best pictures of a drow priestess that D&D ever did, with her pure white hair and that cruel tentacle rod. I think it's a really, really good cover, which makes it right into the very top of Nerd. I think that's really, really good. Again, we're switching back in time. G1, steading of the Hill Giant Chief. And as with the earlier D series modules, it's not very good. Really isn't a very good picture at all. Is it table flip? Just about. It's certainly worse than all those I put in Dork. But here's an exception. Cover of G2, Glacial Rift of the Frost Giant Jarl. This is a Trampier image. He didn't do very many pieces of cover art for D&D. And I wish he had, because this is how you do a monochrome picture effectively. It's icy blue because it's set in an icy location. The size of the giants really commanding the way they're looking down on the hapless adventurers below. And I'm going to put this one right at the top of Nerd. I think it does what a cover piece of art should do. Really, really nice. But we're back to ones that aren't so good with G3, Hall of the Fire Giant King. I think it's slightly better than the other G and D ones that I've put down the bottom. But that doesn't make it particularly good. Just because the giants look a little bit better, and they've got Ettins on there, I'm going to squeeze that one into the bottom of Dork. But it's not great, is it? It's not great. Better than one to the bottom, but... Okay, now the G123 compilation. This was by Bill Willingham, and again, it's a full colour image. In the foreground, a desperate little girl clutching her toy flees from giants causing mayhem. There's a hellhound to the right, only it looks more like a wolf. It's probably supposed to be a hellhound. There's hellhounds in the adventure, but it doesn't look much like a hellhound. Could be a wolf, could be a dire wolf. Who knows? I don't think the fire giant looks great in this. I think the frost giant looks fine. The hill giant looks suitably thuggish and stupid. And there's a bit of gratuitous bum crack from the fighter that's suffering. It's better than the other G covers. Top of Dork. See, no, one below Tomao-chan. Don't think it's particularly great, but it's not appalling. Errol Otis again. I1, Dwellers of the Forbidden City, and we've got lurid yellow spells and a big frog creature trying to consume a poor adventurer, stabbing the frog creature, and yeah, bullywugs almost certainly. And it fits the adventure very nicely, and it's certainly a high tier picture because it's exciting, it's atmospheric, it's suitably weird, it's got lots of nice bright colours, it's appealing. I'm gonna put it though here. I don't think it's quite as good as A4. Do I put Slave Pits in the City one above it? Don't know. It's good. It is very good. All right, The Secret of Bonehill. Bill Willingham. A little bit superhero-y. Scarlet Witch almost. But it's really bold, really bright, really exciting. Really fits the tone of the adventure as well, with with the undead being frazzled at the front. And this is a really good example of a piece of cover art that sells the adventure. Is it as technically as good as some of the others? Possibly not. But it does the job. It does what it's supposed to do. That bright red, that bright gold of her hair, the outlines of the electricity. I assume, is it a lightning bolt spell that's being cast, or is it shocking grasp? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's good, and I love the way that the castle is shrouded in the background. This one, why wouldn't it's grown on me? And with the criteria that I've set, I'm going to put it bottom of geek. Bottom of geek. I'm almost tempted though to move G2 up and put it slightly ahead. Don't know. It's all so close. I mean, the top of nerd and the bottom of geek, so close. N1 against the cult of the reptile god. Again, we're talking about a piece of cover art, framing the contents of the module, and this does it perfectly. It's creepy. It's atmospheric. There is this sense of impending doom for those poor adventurers. You can't quite tell whether they've seen the troglodytes that are lurking in the foreground. Maybe they just have, and they've stopped and frozen in a moment. I like it. I've always liked this cover image. I like it a lot. It's going to go there. Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Rosloff, I believe. Now see where we've put Rosloff at the top, and see further down where we've put Rosloff near the bottom. This is where we put Rosloff at the bottom. I think it's a horrible piece of cover art. I think it's garish. I think it clashes. I don't think it shows Lolth as being remotely scary. I think it's just plain stupid. I know I don't like the module. I'm probably biased in that, but I think it's is it D&D's worst piece of cover art? Is it? No. No. Still Descent to the Depths of the Earth gets worst. Right. Tomb of Horrors. And here we have the original from the cover of the pastel Tomb of Horrors. It's certainly one of the more striking pastel covers. The way the figure in the background is sort of shrouded really makes it stand out. It's gonna go, ooh, I think I'm gonna put it bottom of dweeb. This is me chopping and changing my thoughts. Really me chopping and changing my thoughts. Near the top of dweeb. I think near the top of dweeb. Because, yeah, I like undead. I think that's a really good representation of the potent undead. Even though it's a little bit simplistic. But then we've got Jeff D's colour version. From the re-release, and it's better. It's as simple as that. It's better. How much better? Not massively, but it's better. So I think we've got to put it there. I think we put Tomb of Horrors cover there. S2, White Plume Mountain. Again, another module which had two releases, a colour cover and a monochrome cover, the pastel shade. And to be honest, the pastel picture was abysmal. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. I think the colour one was slightly better, but not one of Jeff D's finest hours. I always thought that it looked like that fighter wasn't fighting as much as belly dancing. I think the Manticore is quite good, and the little halfling at the front dodging out of the way, looking quite frightened, is quite good. But the ballet dancing fighter, muscly mages, no, thank you. You're going to be put there. The top end of Dork. I mean, did a better job of selling the module than the original pastel one, but top end of Dork for that. Right, now we have a module that you all know I don't like. Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. But you know my criteria. It never sold the module to me because I don't like spaceships very much, and I knew there were spaceships in there. But there's an oddness to this Otus piece that fits the module. It's by no means his best piece of work, but it works with the subject matter, and it's not the reason I didn't buy it first time round. I bought it from eBay a few years ago because it was cheap, but first time round I didn't bother. I think it makes it into dweeb. I don't think it merits going any higher than that, but as I said at the start, dweeb is still decent. S4, Lost Caverns of Sojkanth. What's a module cover supposed to do? Sell the product. I saw this module, I wanted it. It's supposed to give an idea of what is within. Lots of really interesting new monsters in this adventure. They're here. And give you an idea of how it all plays and the tone of it. And the adventure it's old school exploration and fighting strange creatures that are dangerous. This puts a tick in all three of those criteria. And I will say now, it's possibly my favourite cover of all time. Moods change, and of course this is all subjective, and there are times I look at that Decapus image and think, is that really the best one? Possibly. Or that cover of Descent into the Depths of the Earth, and just how it the desperate nature of that whole scene with Blip Dullpulp in the background. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, we're talking a very fine line between all of these. Okay, Village of Hamlet. Again, we had pastel and colour versions of the Village of Hamlet. And this, for me, is one of the rare cases where I think the pastel version is better than the colour version. I felt the same with B1, but I think pretty much all the others have gone the other way round. So, it's a trampier piece of artwork. It's quite cluttered, but it shows a lot of the things that are in the module. I do like that image of Lareth lording over it all. Plus a giant crab at the front. It's gonna go in dweeb. Notice I've given myself a little bit more space this time so it doesn't drop off the bottom. It's gonna go in dweeb, but as I said, dweeb is still decent. Alright. The redone Village of Hamlet. I often try to match up an encounter with the adventure. And looking at the background of this picture, this is almost certainly a room where they fight a lot of zombies. Since when were zombies athletic, diving like this? There's also an encounter in there with ghouls, but the ghoul location isn't described in the same way. Now I can imagine ghouls diving like this. So is it a case of he's drawn up some ghouls but put the background from the zombie? But still, it's Jeff D with his rippling muscles and overblown superhero-esque sort of poses, and it's not great. It's not great. It's gonna go here. Just there. Middle of dog. You won. Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. Big spoilers in this one. It's Dave the unpronounceable name. Does it sell the adventure? Yes, it does. Does it fit the contents of the adventure? Yes, it does. Does it show something that's in the adventure? Yes, it does. And it's a bit too much of a spoiler. That watery moon, lovely effect in the background. I think it's a wonderfully spooky image. I do wish he'd held a little bit back in terms of dropping spoilers. And for that reason, it's going to the top of Dweeb. Or does it just sneak into Nerd? Borderline, very borderline. D2, Danger at Dunwater. Little note here, when I looked at the Wikipedia page for this adventure, somebody had put that this was a picture of a Sawajin on a giant eel. It doesn't say that on that Wikipedia entry anymore. It says it's a picture of a Lockathath on a giant eel, because I changed it. If you're going to write in Wikipedia, get your facts right. It's a Lockathath on a giant eel. It's one of the adventures in the sea cave area of the lair. One of the encounters in that sea cave area of the lair. I think it's a great cover image. Pity the module itself isn't quite as exciting, but I think it's dynamic. I bought it based on this picture. It's everything a piece of cover art should be. Dramatic. Dave DeLue's best piece of work, and that goes into geek tier. So from Dave DeLue's best piece of work to one of his worst. I think with this cover of The Final Enemy, he'd got a little bit of Jeff D-itis in terms of muscles. It's a dramatic scene, but Sawajin feels a little bit too... I picture them as sort of scaly and lithe and somewhat creepy, rather than these something akin to a Marvel villain, which they look like here. Not a big fan. Not a big fan at all. And it's going to go there. I'm afraid it goes there. Didn't sell me the adventure at all. I don't like it. Right, cover of Beyond the Crystal Cave. There are 3 glaring errors in this Dave the unpronounceable name picture. Look at the way he's holding his shield. Wrong. Look at the way the sword is curved in relation to the basket hilt. Wrong. And that sword is never going in that scabbard. What a pedantic old nerd I am. The cover image needs to sell an adventure, and the way that the lights glint across the beauty of the Crystal Cave, the wonder of the picture, the whole magical feel. Good stuff. Despite those inaccuracies, really good stuff. Okay, WG4, Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun. Did this picture sell the module to me? No, it didn't. Because when I was looking at it when I was a teenager, I had no idea who Tharizdun was. I had no idea of the tone of the adventure. Do I now understand why this image is how it is, with that murky purple background and those mysterious tentacles and that faceless priest at the centre? Oh yes, I do. So does this picture give you an idea of the tone of the adventure within? Absolutely. Does it sell the adventure? No, it does not. So it's one of those conflicting ones. I would have, a few years back, put this straight in table flip. Having run this adventure and looked at it and fallen in love with it, and looking back at the cover now, it's fitting. It's fitting. So it's going in dweeb. Not perfect, but perfect for the module. X1, Isle of Dread. When I've done streams on modules, quite a few of you have chirped in saying how much you like the cover of Isle of Dread, how much that's the reason why you bought it, yada 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 yada. I got it free with the expert set. Would this cover have sold it to me? For the coral snake and the combat scene, maybe. For the anatomically terrible T-Rex, no. I was 11, 12th birthday when I got that. I was still a dinosaur nerd. That would have annoyed me. I don't think this cover is as good as a lot of you keep on making out. I think it's one of Jeff D's weaker covers in terms of the quality of the art. In terms of setting the scene, though, I think it does a decent job. And if some of you guys bought it because of the cover, then there it's done its job. You didn't care about the fact that T-Rexes are supposed to have stubby little arms like this. And who... I hope you saw that video. Stubby little arms like that T-Rex. But for me, it's got to go there. I don't think it's as good as some of you make out, but it clearly serves its purpose. Final one. X2, Castle Amber. When I originally compiled a top 10 for my blog a little while ago, I somewhat overlooked this one. I would have put it 11th or 12th, somewhere like that. But there's something about it. Purpose, sell an adventure. Who wouldn't want to know what that gargantuan thing is? Appealing. Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. Look, he's shoving his hand through a tower and people are falling off. Yeah, great. Showing you what's in the adventure. I wish there'd been a bit more of the silliness, because obviously this is from later on in the adventure. I'd like to have seen some of the daftness on the cover from the module, but still, this is a great Otis image. And it has to go, for me, at the very pinnacle of nerd. Let's get these properly rearranged. There we go. Any last minute rearrangements? Do I push Castle Amber up to Geek tier and Glacial Rift up to Geek tier? No, I'm not going to. Geek tier, that top 5. 5 absolutely stunning pieces of cover art. The nerd tier. There's how many in there? 10. All really, really good. The dweeb tier. Some imperfections there, another 10. But still, solid. They do what they're supposed to do. The dork tier. This is where we have started having a few problems. Some of the not so good ones, 9 of them in there. I am going to make a little last minute change. I think I'm going to drop that down. Yeah, I'm going to put that one B1 below U3 and C2. I think that's more like it. Feel more comfortable with that, like that. But yeah, ducked here, imperfect. Yeah, there's some appeal in the pictures, but nowhere near as good as the ones above. And table flip. Yeah, they're all from the same series and mostly from the same era, and a lot from the same artist. Sorry, Dave C. Sutherland. I really don't like your covers. Well, that's been me, John, the Old Geek, sounding off on artwork again. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you disagree with me, tell me why in the comments below. And I will be doing a live stream version of this where you can have your say as well. So look out for that. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record the live stream before I post this video, because I don't want to influence you. That makes more sense. So I've made this on Monday afternoon, my time. I'll do a live stream either tonight or Tuesday, and we'll sort it out with you guys voting, and see how much we agree with. That's been me, John, Old Geek. Hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, see ya.